Hello everyone, so in this video we'll talk about the BetaFPV Air65. Actually, this was not supposed to be the video today because the actual video is how I will discuss this Air 2 frame versus the previous Air65 frame. So this is the version 1 and this is the version 2. So we'll skip that first and do this instead because I have a very big problem. I actually broke the UFL connector. This is the antenna of the Air65. If ever you are new to FPV, this is the UFL port. The antenna is actually connected here. You have to be very careful in working with UFL because it can easily peel off. So, and they will tell you to put a dab of B7000, T7000, or even E6000 on that port. And sure enough, that is what I usually do on all of my quads. But with the Air65, I think I put too much. So the problem was I put too much glue on that part, and I was supposed to change from this to a, long story short, since I put too much B7000 here and I was trying to remove this, voila, I peel off that port. What would you need to do? Look at your port. It would look like this, and the port, when you peel it off, it would look like this. There should be some metal part here which will be the mounting point of the port. The element should be here and this should connect to the VTX. Meanwhile, this part is the ground. This two metal part is the mounting point of the port. Okay. If you have a donor port, for example, you have something like this that you could get from port from here. If you'd be able to remove this, that is how you should mount that port to this flight controller. But since you are, in my case, you don't have a donor port, I actually directly soldered enameled wire. Actually, you could buy it on a hardware store. Get a point, either a 0.3 millimeter or I think point. In my case, I think I'm using a 0.1 millimeter. Exact length should be around 13.2 millimeter, if I'm not mistaken, or 12.2. I just forgot the exact measurement. So you could also get it from a motor wire. This kind of brushless motors, actually the wires winding on the motors are enameled wire. Since it is coated with, it's actually not conducting any electricity. So what you need to do, get the tip of that wire. For example, this is the tip of the wire. Get your soldering tip, put some flux and try to burn the end part. Once that end part is a bit burned, get a solder and flux, put a bit of solder there until you could see that the solder is sticking at the end of your wire. On your flight controller, if you're able to see this part here, and actually it's moving up to the next chip, as long as you can see that there is still some pads here, you are in a better situation. You just need to get that wire, put a bit of flux here and a bit of solder. Once you see that the solder is sticking on the pad, get that effing thin wire, put that here, and then on that pad just tap it with a very hot tip of your soldering iron. You will, as long as you see that the solder is stuck and the wire is not moving anymore, you are on a good situation. Voila, you have fixed your quad. Now the problem now is, if this pad is broken, if you think that the pad peeled off from the flight controller, you are in a very bad situation. But I saw a couple of people, what they did is they trace the pad until they reach, I think, a capacitor here, very small capacitor. I'm not sure what is the exact that capacitor, but once you see that capacitor, just tap a bit of solder on the pad of that capacitor and put the wire. But I suggest, if really you cannot see any traces of the pad, you're in bad luck, and I think you really have to replace your flight controller. Your next option would be go contact BetaFPV on how to possibly fix your flight controller. Now, the only downside of going to this route for your VTX is that it will greatly affect your range. So if you do fly your 65 whoop for more than 200 meters, you will have a very bad situation if you'll be using a wire like this. So what you could do is increase your VTX output power to probably 400 milliwatt so that you could increase your range. But of course, it will be different when you actually use an antenna such as this. The only good thing about this problem that I have is I have a lighter Air65. There you go. I think you can see it from this angle. 0.58. So far, the way I fly is not affected by using a very small antenna just like this.
Dami duck. Oo nga eh.